Hey everybody, thanks for joining us on episode 8 of NextGenKarate show. We're filming in RHK in Kelowna, BC. We've changed our setup a little bit, but we're still offering the same show to you. Who do we have today? We have Shaun Dhillon.
Yeah.
Insane competitor. People in Canada who've been competing in the last decade or so definitely know his name. He's been the number one heavyweight for a while. 2006 to 2013, he's been on the senior Canadian national team. That's 8 years on the Canadian team.
Yeah, he's also a 5-time Canadian national champion.
Incredible. Yeah, high level. 2011 Pan Am Games bronze medalist in Guadalajara, Mexico.
And a 2-time North American champion as well.
And then last but not least, 2-time Pan Am Championships bronze medalist. Welcome to the show, Shaun Dhillon.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. How's it going today?
Oh, it's going great. You know, it's another rainy day here in Vancouver, but it's okay.
So you're a high-level competitor. You've just sort of transitioned out of the competition stream, and you're running your own club now, a very successful club. How are you enjoying that?
Oh, it's great. You know, it's a challenge. Over the years, you learn different things about coaching all the kids, and now through my years of competing, I had to kind of transition to how I coach these kids and how I approach their game and how I approach their competitions. And I think I'm evolving slowly into becoming a better coach.
Is that a hard transition? Like, because it's the pressure on yourself,
difficult.
right? And then now you're passing it on.
Yeah, it's extremely difficult because as an athlete, you just sometimes expect people to do things right away. I know it's kind of cliche. Every athlete kind of says that when they're coaching, but it's very true. Like sometimes you just expect a kid to just do the technique and say, how come you can't do it at this speed? Or why can't you do it with the perfect timing? And it just, you don't understand it, but then you slowly start to understand how you get them to have that speed and how you get them to have that technique. So it's great.
So is that where you're focusing all your energy on right now, is just running your club and building these kids up? And
oh yeah, exactly. Like over the years, my program has evolved, and just like my when I was competing, I was evolving, and I had to learn different things about how to coach these kids. And over the years, I've brought in different philosophies from Sandeep, over from what he taught me, and kind of given it over to the kids. And last year we had 5 kids qualify for the Pan American Championships. Only 3 ended up going, but yeah, it's a program still evolving, and it's getting better.
And how long have you been doing? Like, how long has your club been going?
So the Abbotsford Karate Academy was there for about 7 years.
Okay.
And Surrey has only been there for about 4.
Wow.
Okay.
And have those people that have gone on to the Pan Am Games, did they start in that club? Like, they've been training for 4 years? Or
so the ones who went to the Pan Am Championships actually are all from my Surrey Karate Academy.
Okay.
Because when I started my program 4 years ago, I had changed the program completely.
Right.
So I started bringing in different philosophies, and I started learning a little bit more what these kids actually need. You know, when I started my Abbotsford Karate Academy, I was an athlete first.
Yeah.
And the kids kind of had all these little flaws in which, when they went to competitions, was extremely difficult for them. You know, they weren't able to overcome. And by the time I opened up my Surrey Karate Academy, I was like, I'm going to do this, and this, and this. This is what they need, and so it's a lot better.
Yeah.
A lot better.
So you were talking about your kids going on to the Pan Am Championships or Pan Am Games. You yourself experienced competing at that level.
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine it. So maybe just for those out there who haven't been there, or like myself, have athletes coming up that have a good chance of representing at that level. What was your experience with that?
So the most important thing about the Pan Am Games was the qualifying for the Pan Am Games. It was extremely difficult because that year it wasn't in Canada, and this year, like when they had the Pan Am Games last year, when Jocelyn went and the whole national team went, it was in Canada, so they have one qualified athlete guaranteed for that division. And when we went, you had to win the North Americans to actually go to the Pan Am Games. So so you have like your continent representatives, and you go there.
Yeah.
And the qualifying for that was absolutely like crazy, because that day, you know, you all show up to the venue. You have Canada, USA, Mexico. You have 2 from each division, and you have like kind of a round robin system.
Yeah.
And you know, we're all just you know, the tension is crazy in there.
Yeah.
And that was probably one of my best experiences, winning that tournament, because there's so much emotion involved with it. And then anyways, when we went to Pan Am Games, it's really cool because you're getting all these emails from the Canadian Olympic Committee, and they're showing their setup over there, and they're saying, okay, when you guys come over here, we have this, this, and this plan for you, and it was really cool.
Yeah.
So that day we took our flight down there, and we show up there, and you see the athletes village, and first of all, it's amazing because it's guarded by all these like guys in army suits, and it's protected, and it's in Mexico, so I'll make sure everything's safe in there. And we show up there, and we go to the Canada House. And the Canada House, it's amazing. So you see the sea of red in there, all these athletes from different sports, and it's so amazing to see that. You're like, wow, okay, this is what it feels like to be at the top.
Yeah.
And they take us around. We have our meeting first. That they give us cell phones. They have trackers on them. Something happens to us, they have our RCMP representative over there. Then they take us around for they introduce us to our chiros, our massage guys, our anything that we need over there.
Yeah.
And they have like a separate house there that has all the computers, has TVs where we can watch other events as well too. Excuse me. And it's just absolutely amazing. So we go there, and they're like, okay, now you have to get all suited up. So they take us into this area where they have like about 10 shirts for us, and a couple of pants for us, a bag for us. And it's just amazing, and everybody's wearing the same stuff over there.
Yeah.
And in your room, we were rooming with the judo guys actually, and one of the judo guys the following year medal at the Olympic Games, and it was me and Soren, one of my best friends on the team.
Yeah.
And we had just an absolute amazing time, and it was probably one of the best experiences. It was
Was that
great.
Probably your most difficult competition experience?
Most difficult probably was...
Or qualifying for it?
Qualifying for it was probably really difficult. The Pan Games in general, it was really easy to get up for that event.
Yeah.
Because when you're there's so many cameras on you, and it's it was in Mexico, and it was sold out, and my first match actually was against Mexico.
Oh,
so
okay.
so I was warming up, and you see all these droves of people just coming into the stadium. I'm like, wow, I think this event is sold out, and we're not used to that over here, right?
No.
And at that time, yes, I had been to World Championships, and I had seen like a full sold out stadium before, but it was amazing to see everybody just coming in there. And I was like, okay, I'm facing Mexico first, and I was going through my strategies with my coaches Craig and Gary, and I was like, okay, this is going to be crazy. So anyways, we weren't able to see where we're going to compete. We weren't able to go into that venue stage, so we had to stay back into the warm-up area. And right when they call up our name, that's when all the camera lights go on, and they follow you all the way into where you're going to compete. Anyways, I walk in there, and everybody is in green and white, right? They're all the Mexican colors, and I'm like, whoa! And they're all cheering so loud, and it was so amazing. I got like goosebumps running off through me, and I was like, this is great. And they're like, the guys all amped up on facing. We ended up in a tie. I had beat them in the North American Cup before to qualify to come go to the Pan Am Games, and it was an amazing experience.
Okay.
Unbelievable.
What's your favorite tournament to attend? Would it be the Pan Ams, or did you have one that you liked better?
The best tournament to attend is always Nationals.
Okay.
And Nationals always has like its own pride to it, even though like I pretty much always knew who I was going to face at the end. It was always me and Chris, right?
Yeah.
So it was always me and Chris, and we always kind of, we had a thing through all those years where every year me and Chris, we would attend the event together, and it was always, for 8 years, we would go everywhere around the world. And then we go to Nationals, and we see each other and be like, all right, see you in the finals, That's exactly what would happen. And it was amazing. And that's how you build like all these great friends and competition.
Exactly.
It's just one of those great experiences. And
Yeah, we interviewed Chris, I think it was about 3 episodes ago. We had him on the show, but great stories from him too.
Yeah, he's a great guy.
Yeah. Oh, what an experience to have.
Yeah.
So people like Lauren's coming up. We talked a little bit before we started recording, but she's going for the BC team this year, which you've had a lot of athletes go for that as well. And she has a really good shot to get on Team Canada as well going forward. So I guess just advice for athletes like those, what do you tell your students who are experiencing Nationals for the very first time? Because a lot of them get overwhelmed and get that pressure build up.
Exactly. Well, at Nationals, you just have to do what you do. and be at your best. You know, everybody's going to feel nervous. At nationals, it's a very amped up tournament, so your heart's going to be racing, and you know, there's your team will be supporting you 100%. You just have to be who you are. That's extremely important. You know, fight your absolute best, and then then everything will take care of itself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just another quick topic we were talking about with you, Lauren. Again, you're trying to get down to minus 35 for your division, which you're hovering right around anyway. So right now it's not a big deal. But have you yourself, you fought in plus 84, so you didn't have to worry about cutting too much. But I'm sure you have athletes who do. Is that is that something that happens? Is pretty prevalent in the karate world?
Oh yeah. When it comes to cutting, like Justine all the time, she has to cut down to her weight division, and it's just very important that when you're cutting down, you have to do it slow, because if you end up doing it too fast, your body will just go into shock, you know, and then you won't be able to fight your best that day. So it's very important that you just do it slow, a period over time, and as you said for a show as well too, you're doing it proper, so which is excellent. You know, you want to do it proper where your body still feels really good. You know, you don't want your legs to feel weak, or so you want to make sure you do it nice and slow that way. Where you still feel really good. Nice.
Yeah. So do you yourself, do your clubs have a lot of people going for BC team this year?
Yeah, we do. Like I've been like changing up my system with all the kids. When Sandeep first started his system, he brought in Leva, Sensei Seba. And in that system, I kind of adopted over here. Sensei Seba would give an outline about the type of fighter you are. First, you have to know exactly who you are. So he would say, okay, there's people who are brain fighters, people who are athletic fighters, and people who are emotional fighters. And this is how you fight someone who is an emotional fighter, and this is how you fight someone who is a brain fighter, and this is how you fight someone who's an athletic fighter, and this is what you do and you don't do. And so what you do is, first, when the fighter knows who they are, then you start adapting different things for them, and then you start giving them different tools that they can use, and tools in which they can use against other fighters once they figured out how they fight. And so that's the challenge right now with all the kids coming up here, because here in BC, I find it that kids really have to train differently, because as you go older, there's normally not the same amount of bodies you have as, say, Ontario and Quebec does. You know, so in junior, sure, you may have a lot of kids, but as you go older, it's very important to evolve certain tools, and those tools, as Sandeep showed me, is defense. You have to make sure that you know, you can block counter. You got to make sure that you can time properly. You have to make sure you understand all the rules, and that's very important, because as you go older, everybody has a certain set of tools, and when you're into the senior divisions, each division has its own top person, and they have their selected tools, and you have to make sure that you can compete with that.
Right.
You know, and you're going to start having all these athletes who can only kick, and only athletes who can only punch, and you have to be able to beat certain athletes. Some athletes may be really emotional when they go on there. Some athletes may be really like smart when they go on there. So you have to be able to assess who you're facing, and you have to be able to make a strategy to be able to do that.
Wow. Well, let's see if we can figure out what type of fighter you are, Lauren.
I don't know.
No?
So I'm probably not an athletic fighter.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So Shaun was saying you could be a brain fighter, athletic fighter, emotional fighter. So maybe we could help. We could figure her out. So by emotional fighter, you mean that's you know, you need to get that amped up. You need to get maybe hit once to get you into the fight.
Yeah, exactly. So what happens when I first came in there with Sandeep? I was a very emotional fighter.
Yeah.
So Sandeep, he made a program out for me. See, from when I was 16 years old to 20, I didn't have an instructor. My instructor, Tom McDonough, had passed away of cancer. So I was pretty much freelancing everything. And the only way I learned was I was watching videos of the European Championships and World Championships. And I would copy the way those fighters bounced. And my transition, the way I learned, was very slow because of that. But I ended up winning my first nationals just by freelancing it over in Halifax.
Wow.
And then Sandeep had told me, he said, Shaun, why don't you just come by to the Karate Academy, and, you know, we can train. I think it'd be good for you. And I was like, okay, yeah, sure, I'll come, you know. But I didn't end up going. And then I went to my first Pan Ams, and I got absolutely destroyed, right? Yeah. And then my technique was way off. So Sandeep has a meeting with me, and he goes, And he goes, okay, let's start. And I said, okay, that's a great idea. Let's get going here. You know, I have to get my butt whooped. I'm like, I need something different. So he has a pen and a paper, and he goes, okay, what's your best technique? I'm like, hook kick. And he goes, okay, second best technique. I'm like, roundhouse kick to the face, right? And he goes, third best. I'm like side kick, and he's just writing it down, and I can see his face. He's just like, okay, I can see where this is going. He goes, okay, what's the strategy when you go into the ring? I'm like, okay, I have to score at least 6 to 8 points a match, and like, or else it's not this. And he's just like, he goes, okay, and he goes, what if you don't score your kicks? I'm like, what is this guy talking about? What if you don't score my kicks, right? Because athletes, you're always like, go, go, go.
Yeah.
So he's the one who actually said, you know what? Well, you don't have to go on a match. You don't have to score these many points, you know, because I was getting into matches where it was like 6-4 or like 7-5, and you know, I had to score that many points. And he said, okay, maybe you can use a defense where you can block counter. Maybe you can move around, and this is how you set it up. And he actually said you're not allowed to throw these many certain kicks in a match because the referees, they just stop seeing scoring points when you just throw so many that have missed. And so he actually like brought it down and was able to give me a proper strategy, a proper outline, which I was able to use slowly. And the next year I went to Pan Am, Junior Pan Ams. I medaled that year in Junior Pan Am. So it was able, yeah, it's great when you have proper coaching that can teach you little tools, especially defense. It really helps at those high levels. I feel when an athlete is comfortable in the ring, and that's when they can do their best.
Yeah. Just so anybody knows, you're just talking about Sandeep Gill, who runs Burnaby Karate Academy. We interviewed him as well a couple episodes ago, so you guys can check that out just to get a little bit and he shouts out Shaun too, so in that interview a little bit. So so going back, I mean, do you think that's a viable method for people? Because when I got brought up through competition, there was no kind of computers and internet and YouTube and watching this stuff. What a resource for athletes to have. Do you encourage your athletes? Do you still go on there and watch, you know, the recent World Championships the day later and learn from there?
You know what? Every athlete has to be able to see someone that they can emulate, you know? There's certain fighters which some girls will see, some boys will see, and they'll just be like, you know what, I want to be this person. I bounce like this person. I kick like this person. I think I can punch like this person. Yeah. So they can look at that person who's in the finals of Worlds, or they're looking at Pan Ams, who's in the finals of Pan Ams, and they say, okay, I think I can copy what this person is doing and bounce the way they bounce and the strategies that they use. And I think it's very important, like with the whole YouTube generation, that you know, everything's out there now. You can watch every single match. I think it's extremely important for the kids to do that.
Yeah, yeah. So if you were coming up now, so you're competing at the BC Open coming up and team selection tournament. If you could go back and give yourself advice, would it be, if you could go back to when you were 12 and give yourself advice now, would it be get a capable instructor, or would it, what would you think?
Yeah, it would be, if I were to go back, that's a good question actually. It would be probably to work more on the technical side than, because when I was coming up, I didn't have the best technical because I was kind of training by myself. So I would only do things that I'm very good at, you know? So if I didn't feel good in training, I would be like, oh, it's the worst training ever. I can't believe this. And when I went with Sandeep, he literally made me put my foot up against the wall, my back foot, and I had to reverse punch again and again and again, because my 3 favorite techniques supposedly were kicks, right? So so I had to reverse punch again and again and again. I had to change my stance, and I had to bounce a certain way. And when I started doing that, it became excellent. And those trainings were the worst trainings I ever had, because I was just like, what is this, you know? I would go to the gym all the time, and I would feel good because I'm taking all these pre-workout drinks and I'm ready to go. And and here I'm training with Sandeep, and he's telling me to reverse punch and block counter, and I couldn't block like a proper like a kick going to my face, and I had to do all that, and it was very frustrating. And you know, I'd get frustrated, but those were the best trainings I had, and those were made me like very good and helped me get that Pan Am Games medal and helped me get the North Americans. And you know, and I take that into coaching my kids right now too. You know, when I was younger, I would have a lot of fun with them. I said, okay, let's just, you know, let's have a lot of fun and let's do like these fun drills. And now I do things that, you know, aren't necessarily fun, but will make them champions, you know, that they have to do, you know, and that's one of the things. If I were to go back, I'd probably spend more time doing those technical details just like that.
Yeah, they're never fun, but I mean, it's super important to build that base. Then you can build off it, but you have no base to begin with, and you're swatting at flies. Yeah,
exactly. And it just, remember, the more work you put in is that's what you're going to get out of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Sure.
that's one thing I learned through the sports is that you have to do things you're just uncomfortable with, and me naturally, I wanted to do things. I was, oh, this is amazing, this is a
Mm-hmm.
great training, because I felt like I felt fast and I felt like this. But
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you actually have to feel not so good in training to actually
Mm-hmm.
get to that certain level you want to get to.
Yeah. So you were talking about memories and people impacting you with coaches. I think previously you mentioned Craig and Gary. I'm assuming that's
Yeah.
Gary Sabian and Craig
Yeah,
Devlin. Building up, maybe you could you've shouted out Sandeep as well, but who kind of guided you and helped you and supported you through your competition career?
Okay, well, you had Nicole and you had Sandeep as well too, and they both were like a very crucial part in my training. They guided me pretty much through everything. And Manuel Manzon, when I went over to the national team my first year, he he started doing a lot of mental training with us, and he started doing a lot of breathing exercises, and started like teaching us like, okay, you must, here's how you focus, and that was like very important, and that was like a very crucial part of my training, and something I carried on through the years. And but yeah, Nicole and Sandeep are a really important part in my growth. And I was, when I was training there, everybody was there. Obviously, Jocelyn was there, and
Mm-hmm.
you had Matt there at that time, Matt Bickle, and Cindy, Andrea. Everybody was there, and it was a great place to train. It was very fun,
Mm-hmm.
and the environment was was very good. And
Mm-hmm.
I think environment for athletes is extremely important, because you want to enjoy where you're going to train, you know, and you want to set the mood, and the environment before nationals will be different. It's a
Yeah.
very amped up environment in there, and but yeah, I think yeah,
J-
that's
Yeah, just about nationals. One thing that just popped into my head. I know for kata athletes, when talking to them, they say they have to compete differently depending on whether they're competing at provincials or nationals or international.
yeah.
Oh, there goes our background. That
No, yeah.
that the stage changes. Is that the same for kumite fighters? Do officials in BC alter from nationals, alter from Pan Ams?
Yeah. Usually you're allowed, when the competition amped up, you're allowed more contact.
Okay.
It's yeah. So refs understand that this is a more emotional tournament, and that's a higher level, and the points that are called sometimes may be harder to get a point.
Right.
But yeah, everything
Does
does
change.
change. Everything does change when everything's amped up to that level, big
I
time.
see.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Interesting.
yeah.
Just a couple more questions for you, then
Sure.
then we'll let you go. I was saying to Lauren that in the last couple of years you've transitioned over to MMA.
Mm-hmm.
Did you watch the fights last night?
Oh yeah. Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
they're
yeah,
pretty
yeah.
good,
It's
eh?
great. Yeah,
Uh,
it's great. Actually, yeah. Conor McGregor actually trains with the Irish karate national team as well too,
mm.
and yeah, he has great movement. And
Well,
yeah, the
they were
transition.
saying I saw a tweet during the
Yeah,
fights that they said sport karate is going to be the next major style influence of MMA.
Yeah.
yeah,
So that was a great shout out for
Yeah.
our sport and
yeah, yeah,
coming forward. But so
yeah,
how has that been? So for other karate guys maybe who are looking
yeah.
at, well, maybe I can take my
So
skills into the ring.
yeah, yeah. So for me, for MMA, I've taken my time. I made that transition over now, but I've taken my time because I understand that defense wins championships,
Hmm.
And if I were to go into an MMA match, and especially now that I'm going pro this upcoming year, um, you need to have excellent defense, and it's pretty obvious what those guys are going to want to do. They're going to want to take me down, and
Hmm.
the thing about the defense that gave me the hardest time was karate is such a fast sport, and
Hmm.
it's very technical in there. And when you're trying to judge someone's speed, it's all about obviously timing. And now in MMA, you not only have to see, obviously do the timing, but the level change. So when the level change and they go after the legs, you have to be able to, your eyesight has to change as well too.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a very big transition, especially when I've been doing karate at a very high level for a long time.
Yeah.
Your body has a certain computer, and it's only used to seeing certain things, and you have to change that computer in your head. It's taken me a long time, because like if you think about it, every 2 months you have like a very big competition in karate, and when you're on the senior national team, you know. So you're always focused and you're used to seeing fighters a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you do MMA, it's when they start level changing, going for takedowns, you have to really train your body that this is how I have to stop the takedown. This is how I have to punch differently now. And yeah, it's taken a little while, but our footwork in karate is really advanced, and our strategies are really advanced as well too. So it's yeah, once you make the transition, it's not that bad.
I guess just the stage is a little bit bigger. I mean, you could be in a karate match and you make a huge mistake and you get 3 points scored on you.
Yeah.
And you got another minute and a half
Exactly.
to come back from it. Or you make a huge mistake in MMA, you're going to be paying the price. And
And the good thing that in MMA that I loved was you only have one match, and you know, in karate you have like a draw system. You have like, say, you know, 5 rounds or 6 rounds, and MMA you have one match, so it's kind of like you're stepping into the finals every single time. You know, you can focus on this one opponent, and that was really different as well too. And I really love that part about it. After doing draws and like having like, you never know who you're gonna face.
Yeah.
Having one guy, you know exactly who you're gonna face. You know pretty much what they're going to do. It's that's one of the advantages as well too. So
yeah. You have ever the inkling to come back into karate competition, or you're comfortable where you're at?
Yeah. I'm pretty comfortable. Yeah, where I'm at now. It's just you know the work that's involved in competing at that level. You know, you either have to give it heart and soul when if you want to make it to that level and you want to stay consistent at the level, it requires your full mind, body, spirit. You know, so you really have to be able to put everything you have into it. And if you're not willing to do that, then you're never going to get the results. And it's just so you got to make sure you really want it before you come back. You know? Yeah.
Excellent. So yeah, Lauren's coming up and going to be doing BC team, going to be doing team Canada, hopefully if everything goes right. Hopefully she'll be able to meet a couple of your athletes too. And when you see Shaun at the upcoming BC Open, I'm sure you can go say hi. Yeah. Well, thanks very much for joining us, Lauren. Do you have anything else for Shaun? No. Excellent. Yeah. Thanks for taking the time. Have a good time at the BC Lions game.
Thank you.
And thanks for joining us. We'll have you on again because I'm sure there's a lot to talk about. So we'll hook up again later.
Yeah.
For sure.
Okay.
Right, guys.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Yeah. Have a good day.
See you guys. Bye-bye.
Great instructor, great guy, super nice. A lot of experience too. So what do you think? Does it get you excited when you hear the stories about those Pan Am games, or something that you'd want to do? How far have you traveled so far for competitions?
Moncton in New Brunswick was the farthest so far.
Okay,
So
and that was for
the nationals, but not the
not the Canadian,
the
Soroka Nationals.
The Soroka Nationals, not the the
Karate Canada ones. Yeah. Well, it's still a long
those ones are very different though. I enjoy going to those ones just because it's just people in our style. Yeah. So it's neat to see all of them and
it's really supportive.
all across Canada. Yeah.
Totally. And then now you'll get to meet a whole bunch of new friends coming up in this series as well with this organization. But that was excellent. Thanks for taking the time, Shaun, to talk to us. We'll have you on in a future episode as well. That concludes. What are we on? Episode 8,000? 8. I think so. Yeah. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you on episode 9.